It's been a whole decade since I first put my feet on the pedals of this electric unicycle gizmo. In those 10 years, I have seen so many changes in the EUC as a whole. The wheels have improved dramatically and basically changed the way we move and think. I have gotten to appreciate the world around me better from a very different perspective. In addition, the EUC has also made me meet people from all walks of life. So how did the story of my EUC life begin anyway? One day, back in June of 2015, I was scrolling through the web and an ad for a hoverboard came on from Sharper Image. The price was listed at around $1,000. I was so amazed at that hoverboard moving a person around with just a lean forward. No hand controls. I decided to do some Googling to see if I could find a cheaper hoverboard. One of the images that popped up was an electric unicycle. I said to myself, that wheel is so much bigger than a hoverboard and looks to be better at handling the inconsistencies of a paved road. After much thought, I decided I wanted to get an electric unicycle instead. There was the 9-bot, but it cost so much at $950. Then came across a fast wheel electric unicycle. I was impressed that it had a max speed at 12 miles per hour. Wow! What a speed demon! It was also cheaper than a 9-bot. I bought the Fast Wheel Eva Pro for $600 after negotiating with an eBay dealer for the original $650 price. In fact, my urge back then was so strong that I purchased the wheel online while I was on vacation in another country. I timed it so it would arrive by the time I arrived to New Jersey. Back then, there were few videos out there for an EUC tutorial. I must say, the electric unicycle back then did not yet have the term EUC coined yet. So I was fumbling along trying to learn this one-wheel contraption. I decided to even order training wheels for this, but by the time it arrived 5 days later, I was able to figure it out. It took me about 4 days, 1 hour a day, to make my brain and muscles finally click. However, by the second month, I got really frustrated with the constant beeping when I got close to 12 miles per hour. I was even looking for a way to hopefully ruin the wheel by tempting fate. 3 months later, I got the KS14C, which was back then touted as one of the fastest electric unicycles out there. It was around 2016 when the EUC term was finally tossed around and the acronym stuck. The KS14C had a max speed of about 19 miles per hour. My mind was blown by the speed and the range. My first EUC friend was Ted Raimundo, and we went on our first mini group ride. A couple of months later, I met up with more people from New York City on my first big group ride at the NYC Summer Streets Ride in August of 2017. The EUC addiction was growing in me.
Hey, that is awesome. Thanks.
About a year later, I upgraded to the KS18L. It had a max speed of 29 miles per hour. I really loved that wheel. I even bought a custom seat, but never really got into seated riding. A year later, I got my first Gotway wheel, the Nickeola. That's when I got my first wobble, and it scared the crap out of me. So it was the wobbles and the ankle pain that got me interested in seated riding. I tackled that challenge head on, and after much practice, I was able to do seated riding well. But then I wanted the second wheel for its portability. That's when I got an idea to get another Gotway or Bigode M103.
Hello. I'm back. I went to get my sandwich.
Then how'd it go?
Yeah, it was quick.
When InMotion came out with a really fast, over-the-top wheel like the V13, I was really intrigued. Through the years, there have been many issues with EUCs catching fire, random cutouts, shoddy and messy assemblies, and QC issues with so many wheels that I felt it was time to go for an InMotion wheel. Sure, InMotion is not perfect, but I felt it had better QC as well as quality parts. The V13 was my first suspension wheel. The V13 was of course quite challenging for me with its heft and 22-inch wheel. I had to learn better techniques to really master the ride. The wobble issue came back on with me, but again I learned the proper technique to break out of those dreaded wobbles. However, the V13 was too much for me as the only wheel, so I decided to get the A2. I'd used it only on mellow rides and enjoyed it for a while. The waterproofness was impressive, but the lower max speed and constant beeping ended up being a turnoff for me. When I rode on the street, I usually would just stick to the sidewalk for fear of cutting out on the street. That's when I decided to upgrade to the Commander Mini. I was able to get the best of the relatively compact world as well as the speed and power of the V13. Add to that the suspensions. The Commander Mini was a great fit for me. Now we have come full circle 10 years later. Looking back, safety was not that much of an issue when the early EUCs came out. I did not even wear a full-face helmet. Riders back then were probably quite naive in how much danger we could be in even by riding at low speed. Over the years, I have seen so many riders get in serious injuries. Even the most cool riders who thought they were untouchable eventually got hurt. I have fractured a rib myself, as well as other miscellaneous injuries. A few of my friends have had several falls and were even hospitalized too. The key thing that I have gained through riding this uni-wheel contraption is meeting people that I never would have met. I was able to make friends with people from all walks of life. Even people at work that I normally would have just said hello and moved on, I have become really great friends with. We have bonded due to having the same passion for the wheel. I was actually the one that got them into it, since I am basically a walking ad for the EUC. All they needed to do was watch any of my videos or having seen me ride around the parking lot at work. It truly is mesmerizing to them seeing a person move around on an electric wheel with ease and hands-free. EUCs are so much more improved now. It seems EUC companies always are pushing for the biggest, fastest, most powerful wheels every passing year. We have seen several fatalities too. These machines have emboldened us to now ride with cars on the highway. Back then, rides were more mellow and the focus was on learning new tricks such as backward riding and seated riding. Now it's just trying to top who can go the fastest, who can jump the highest, who can do the most amazing stunts. I am guilty myself of rooting for those daredevils, and if they can do them, I salute them for their amazing skills. However, at my age and the type of work I do, where I have seen the most road injuries ranging from simple scrapes to traumatic brain injury and worse, I have opted for mellow solo rides, group rides, and just making new friends. Learning the EUC has enhanced our proprioceptive skills. Basically, it means all the sensory inputs from our bodies allows us to sense our own position and movement without looking at our body. This is a subconscious process and is always occurring as we ride our wheel. In return, the motor response we give off, in other words, how we react to keep ourselves balanced, is also continually reinforced. In simple terms, the EUC is helping us to become modern ninjas. This enhanced skill will help us as we age through the years. With this advanced tech at our control, this is a great power we have. Therefore, we need to have great responsibility as we ride our wheel. And I look forward to the next decade to see where this journey will take me. Stay safe out there, everyone, and always be vigilant. And please always gear up. Thanks for watching. Until next time.